Hello, welcome to my channel. Question number 10 and 11. So 11, if m is to n equals to 2 whole number 1 over 3 is to 1 whole number 1 out of 5 and n is to q is also giving us 1 whole number 1 out of 2 is to 1 whole number 1 out of 3. We have to find the ratio q is to m. Good. Now, if you compare the first ratio with the second ratio, you can see we have a common denominator, that is n and n. So in the actual sense, if n and n are the same, then it means this ratio and this particular one must be the same. If they are the same, then we can be able to say that the first one equals to the last one. All right, let's see how we can do that. So first of all, we know m is to n equals to converting this to become a whole number, improper fraction. That will give us 2, 3, that will be 6, plus 1, that will give us 7 out of 3, is to 1 times 5, 5 plus 1, 6 out of 4, 5. Then if I take the second ratio, n is to q, converting this to a 3 out of 2, then is to, this will be 4 out of 3. Good. Now, we also know that a ratio can be converted into a fraction, while a ratio is also more or less like a fraction. As in the first one, I'll be having m divided by n, and that will give us division of this by this. That will be 7 out of 3 divided by 6 out of what? 5. And we know if you are dividing fractions, what happened to the second fraction and the division sign? This become multiplication, this become reciprocated. So this is going to be 7 out of 3 times 5 out of 4, 6. Then we know we only multiply the numerators and the denominators together. So here will be 35 out of 4, 18. That is if I'm taking this ratio. Don't forget, this also means that 35 is to 18. Let's take this as n over q, that is n divided by q, equals to 3 out of 2 divided by 4 out of what? 3. We can also change this to division, multiplication, and reciprocate the second fraction. 3 out of 2 times, this become 3 out of what? 4. Whereby this will multiply to give us 9. This also give us what? 8. Now check carefully and see that I'm having n divided by q. We have m divided by n. So it means the top fraction here, or the numerator here, is the same as what? This denominator. So if we are saying n is the same as n, then it means that 18 must be the same as what? 9. And they are factors. So what do? We can multiply this by 2 to make it 18. And don't forget, if I multiply the top by 2 without the down, then that will make it what? Different from the ratio we are having. So I'll be multiplying here by 2 out of 2. And we know 2 out of 2 is the same as 1. So that will give us 18 is to what? 16. So the moment the n as our denominator is the same as the n as our numerator, we can say that the m, which is not the top, then the q, which is not the down, will become the top fraction 35, the down fraction 16. It means that this is 16 as q, m is what? 35. We have to express it q first. So if q, don't forget, if I want to reciprocate this, it will be q over m. Then I have to reciprocate this to become 16 over what? 35, which is the same as q is to m equal to 16 is to what? 35. So we are only doing it in a way that we get the same word values. For the n being the same, then we equate the down. That's one way of doing it. There's another alternate method. Let's take that one and see. All right, so for the alternate method, we are going to make n the subject in the first ratio and the subject in the second ratio, so that since the n are the same, we can equate them. You know, if you are making n the subject here, it's going to be n will multiply this to give you 35n, m will also multiply this. So it means I'll be having n equals to 18m divided by what? The 35 as the coefficient of what? N. Then here, we are also going to have q multiplying 9, n multiplying 8, meaning 8 is the coefficient. So n will also be equals to 9q over what? 8. So now since the n are the same, the two expressions become the same. So I'll be having 18m out of 35 equals to 9q out of what? 8. This can multiply this, and this will also multiply this, right? So I'll be having 8 times 18m equals to 35 times 9 what? Q. So what do I do here? I am looking for Q first before M. So I can divide both sides by this and this. I'll be dividing both sides by 18m and 35 so that I isolate the Q alone. So this divided by 35 18m divided by 35 18m. You know this 35 will cancel. This is 18m. So this 18m will also cancel here. So we are left with only 8 as from here divided by 35 equals to 9q divided by what? 18m. But I can see 9 and 18 has a common factor. So if I find the common factor as 9 dividing here 2 times, I'll be having 8 on 35 equals to q on what? 2m. So we can still cross multiply or associate, but let me cross multiply. So we can see that 35 will multiply this, 2m will also multiply 8. 2 times 8 is 16, so 16m. Q times 35 will be 35q. But I'm looking for this, so let me divide by what? 35 again, and what? M. So here will be 35m, 35m. So that 35 will take care of this, m will take care of this. 16 out of 35 equals to q out of what? M. And you see that this is 16, so 16 is to what? 35, as we had on the first place. So m varies as the square of n, and at the same time as the square root of q. So if m is given as what? 24, when your n is 2 and that of q is 4. Now find the value of m when n is 5 and q is 9. So this is a variation question. So first of all, we can have m varying as the square. You know, square of n will be this way, and at the same time as the square root of what? Q. This is the variation we are talking about. So m is varying as what? The square of n, or as the product of the square of n and the square root of q. So where the constant of our variation will be taken here in order to have this as an equation. So m will now be equals to k as our constant of variation, n square the root of what? Q. So we know that your m has been given as 24, the n is 2, and the Q is also given as what? 4. So we substitute in order to get our constant of variation. So this will be 24 equals to K 2 squared, the root of 4, substituting the values of M, N, and Q. You know, this is going to be, the root of 4 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. So I'll be having 24 equals to K multiplying what? 8. 4 times 2, that will be 8. So dividing by 8, your K will now become what? 3. Hence, if I take this as my equation 1, the equation 1 will become M equals to 3, which is a K, N squared, the root of what? K. So the second aspect says find the M here in terms of a value, where N is now 5, Q is now what? 9. So this will be 3 into bracket 5 squared, and the root of what? 9. Let's see, this gives us 3 times 25 times 3. We know root of 9 will be 3. And 3, 3, 9 times 25. 20 times 9 will be 180. 5 times 9 will be 45. So I think we have 225 as the value of M if N is 5 and Q is also what? 9. So this is one way of solving the evaluation question. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and comment. Bye-bye.